Brinda ma'am, it's been an interesting conversation so far. But here we have our next generation architects sitting in front of us. And I'm sure they are desperately waiting and eager to hear from you and interact with you. So let's have a round of some quick question and answers with them. So who's going first? Yeah, yes, please.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Neha Bhatt. I'm from Tagore School of Architecture. To you is that like when you started out, when you were like first starting out with your degree, what was your philosophy in design back then, and over the years, how has it changed? Like with working with so many various types of projects.
So it's always a difficult question because people always say, what is your style? I have no style. And I don't think that any building of mine looks exactly like the other. I don't think it's got a stamp that this is a Ar.Brinda Somaya building, like you can say about certain architects. And I think that's what's really important, that the philosophy which leads to the concept is that it's got to be about many, many different things. The land. You have to listen to the land. The land is very important. Hear it carefully. You've got to listen to the geography, the location, the climate, the people who are going to be using that. Have you spoken to them? Who is your client? The client is also important because they're going to be putting a lot of money into the project. So that's what's important, is that there's so many aspects. So that's got to be your philosophy as an architect. How do you have a client come to you, trust you perhaps with his life savings, his or her life savings, sometimes a very large amount of money, to give him and the people for whom he's building something that will raise their spirits when they enter the spaces that you design for them.
Who's going next? Yes, please.
What is your guru mantra for students like us who are looking forward to enter these fields like conservation, restorations, retrofitting?
Well, I don't have a short mantra. I will start saying many things. I keep saying the same thing, that you must really love and enjoy what you do. You must have a love for history, a love for archaeology, and a love for architecture to take up conservation. And you must understand the country or the place that you're conserving. That's all. Don't feel afraid of it. It's not at all frightening or different. It's also technically different from building new. And I think you have to educate yourself on the conservation technical aspects. You know, how do you conserve stone? How do you conserve brick? How do you repair buildings? For instance, we just completed a building on DN Road, which you know is a very important historic precinct of Mumbai. It was a school. We started work and we had three problems. One problem was the metro was being built on DN Road underground. So this huge excavation was taking place which removes water from below. And then the water begins to move, and then that moves the foundation areas, etc. So that was one thing. We had the pandemic, which threw us off ground for 1.5 years. And then we had the cyclone. So we had all these three aspects in an old 150-year-old building, and we had to address it. Now, if it was a new building, it would have been much easier. So it's almost a different type of challenge. But I'm sure you'll be just fine. Just love what you do and go for it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who's going next? Yes, please.
Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. I'm Rakhi Vishwakarma. And my question is, India being a vast, diverse and cultural tapestry, it requires its essence to be present in every space. So how can we as architects ensure that it is preserved while designing?
It is preserved because of who you are. It's not an external preservation. You are India, right? So it doesn't matter where you come from, what language you speak, what you follow. That's the essence within you. And that will come out in its own way into what you design. That's all. It's simple as that.
Any more questions?
Hello sir, hello ma'am. My name is Unnati Waghela. I wanted to ask that can you discuss the role of community engaged in your architectural practices, particularly in projects that involve cultural or historical significance?
Of course, community has to be engaged in anything you do. If it's a societal project, like I talked to you about the village project. But we had another little project outside Mumbai where there was the flower sellers near a temple. And we had to sort of redo the flooring of the temple. And they wanted to move the flower sellers out from there. So they built their shop somewhere and expected them to move, and they refused to move. So the client came to me and said, please go and talk to them. Why are they not moving? We built something much better for them. So I went and asked them, why are you guys not moving? And they said, because nobody asked us what we wanted. I said, what did you want? They said, please understand that our shops have to be on the way to the temple, because that's when the devotees come. If you put us in a corner, no one's going to come and buy the flowers. So they removed us from the path to the temple. Second, when they designed the little flower stalls, they did not provide a space for the leftover flowers from the previous day. We are poor people. We cannot throw away the flowers, but it's very hot in Mumbai. So we need an below ground place to store the flowers so we can use them the next day also. And thirdly, we need a place to hang the flowers. They didn't provide that. So we redesigned the shops. We've changed the location. We provided these two simple things, and they all moved there, and we redid the plaza. I always tell this story as a very simple way to explain how important it is to listen to your client, whether they're a flower seller or whether they're a millionaire.
We can take one more last question. Who would like to take it? Oh, yes, please.
Hello, Brinda ma'am. Hi, Karan.
So my question is, while envisioning the future of architecture, how do you see the advancement in technologies influencing the conservational and conceptual aspect of design?
Well, there's going to be huge change as we move ahead in the architectural profession. And I think one of the biggest changes will be the way we design in terms of, I explained to you earlier, the circular economy and sustainability, that we cannot just design as we feel like. We always have to take into account what are we doing to endanger the planet? Are we designing correctly, accurately, or are we only thinking of ourselves and how we want this building to look? So there's huge amount of technology available now. I'm connected with certain sustainable foundations. And for instance, recently one of the awards that we gave for the Wholesome Foundation was a building that was designed in Zurich, where that woman used everything from other buildings that were being demolished. So the way we use it is we just see how can we use it. You know, maybe we will change the doors and windows that we get, maybe we will change the brick. But what she did was, she went round to the different towns, found out which buildings were being demolished, took measurements of those trusses, of those brick walls, of those windows and doors, and then designed her building to accommodate all that. Now that has to be a total elimination of your personal ego to design a building like that. But that is what the Europeans now believe is going to be the future if we want to bring down that temperature by 1.5 degrees. So we have that aspect, and then we have India, which is exploding with infrastructure, with airports, with train stations, with buildings, with museums. How do you balance these two? So I think you have to be very clear in your mind and decide how are you going to create a realistic balance between what you have to build new, which is going to absorb and take up a huge amount of carbon energy and spill it out, as against the other part that you have to preserve. So we have a huge amount of ordinary buildings in our country, which we should save, and then decide when we build new, how do we build new? Go study, do your research, see what's happening in different parts of the world, and apply it to your practice.
Thank you, Brinda ma'am, for this amazing and a wonderful session with our students. I'm sure they are going back with some really good memories to cherish for their upcoming years. Thank you so much.